Hello, and a very warm welcome to Cultural Communication Confidence with me, Victoria Reynoldson, and a very warm welcome to this episode 101. And we have been celebrating lots with the podcast recently. In fact, today, the day that this podcast is going out, is International Podcast Day. So happy International Podcast Day. But this has really been the end of a month of celebrations, celebrating the 100th episode. So thank you so much for all your well wishes and congratulations and celebrating with me. I have been doing a mini series all around leadership communication skills over the last few episodes. So if you missed that, make sure you go back and watch that. But also, I did a very special podcast celebration event where I offered some free training around how to become a global leader. Now, that went live last week. We had an absolutely fantastic group come together, and we had 3 hours of training over 3 days. Now, if you missed that and you're still interested to access that training, it is completely free, but the replays will only be available for this week only. So you do need to be quick. So if you want to access it, just message me over on LinkedIn. Victoria Reynoldson is my profile, and you can have free access to that until the 4th of October, which is this Friday at the time this podcast is going out live. Also, in that training, I talked about a very special offer that I am giving out right now, making available to you for my VIP one-to-one Global Leader Communication Program. So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, maybe you've been following me on LinkedIn or Instagram or various places, I want to let you know this is my best offer that I've ever done. And I am making available over £2,000 worth of extras when you book your program. All you have to do is book in a discovery call this week, so by Friday, the 4th of October, and you have the chance to access those extras when you go on to book your program. So if that is something you're thinking about, maybe you've been thinking about working with me for a while, please do not hesitate. This is a brilliant time to get involved, to learn more, and to have access to all those extras. The best way for you to get hold of that is again over on LinkedIn. Just come over, message me, and let's make sure that you can access that. Okay, so that's what's been going on. It really has been a very busy few weeks. So thank you so much for celebrating these exciting milestones with me. And what I thought we would do today is something a little bit different to kind of finish up the celebrations of September. And what we're going to do is that usually I have episodes where I speak and I share my strategies and tips. Sometimes I have episodes where I have guests on and they share their helpful ideas and frameworks and tools that can help you in different areas. But today, I actually want to do something different. I wanted to share what I have learned from you. I asked recently, what is it you wanted to know? So I invited people to share what they think, what their questions are around becoming a global leader, around leadership communication and cultural intelligence. And I was really pleased to hear your questions. I have chosen the one that I think is a great question and also is a question that I get often asked. So we're going to hear that question now, which has come from Lynne, who's based in Japan, about cultural success factors.
Hi, Victoria. I am originally from Ireland, been working in Japan for 20 years now. Recently, I am keen to raise awareness about what is actually involved in achieving success across cultures. Of the experts you have interviewed, what would you say are the key ingredients commonly shared said to be necessary for achieving success in intercultural environments?
This is a great question, Lynn. Thank you so much for sharing this question. And I am sure it is a question that others are going to really gain benefit from today as well. So, I have a real perspective on this, which is for us to be successful, whether we are living in a different country or studying in a different country, or whether we are regularly working across borders and in global teams, we have to understand each other human to human. So we have to understand ourselves and how we are, but we also have to understand others. And our real objective is about connection. It's about how do we come together and really get each other. And this is true for you, whether you are physically living in a different country, whether you are in these global teams, as I mentioned, or whether you're in a very diverse, globally diverse team based in one location. It doesn't matter. This is relevant for everybody today. And in fact, I think it matters more than ever in an environment where we are very much working virtually, where we need to be having conversations to influence, to have impact, and get to decisions on our projects and tasks. It really matters that we have this cultural intelligence, this cultural understanding. So the real kind of question is how do we do that? We know when it doesn't work because we often notice it. We notice it when there are misunderstandings or miscommunications where people feel like they have to ask, what did you mean by that exactly? It also happens when we get frustrated by others or we experience behaviors or what people say in a way that feels like either they're not being professional or perhaps they're doing things to deliberately get a reaction from us. So for me, it always starts part one with us. It starts with us. We have to understand ourselves first. And this is the bit that's quite hard because culture impacts us all. It doesn't matter where in the world you've lived or how many different countries you lived in. It's not really about that. Culture, there are many different types of culture, whether we're talking about national culture, our gender, our sexuality, our where we've lived, where we've worked, the people that we hang out with. So our friends, our family, the people we're closest to, these all are cultural factors on who we are and how we show up. And we may not realize this. We may not understand that the way we are doing things, the way we choose to interact and to communicate with others, is not how others do it. And we notice it when there is that disconnect, when we don't understand each other. So it starts with really understanding our own behavioral preferences. And in the work that I do, I have a particular cultural intelligence assessment that I do with individuals and teams. And this helps build up a profile of you across 10 different factors, really understanding about how you show up, how you prefer to do things. What are those ways that are familiar and easiest for you to interact with other people? So it starts with this understanding, having that understanding first. From there, part two, we can go into understanding others. Now, this is where the real insight comes, the real aha. Because when we have that pause button to really say, well, maybe I don't fully understand the full picture of what's going on here. If we use our curiosity and what is called our CQ drive or cultural intelligence drive, we're getting really curious, I suppose is the word, but we're really trying to understand that other person or other people. Why did they send that email? Why do they say it like that? What does it mean for me? But what could it mean for them? What are the alternative explanations for why they have done this? Having that curiosity or CQ drive and matching that with CQ knowledge, the awareness of the similarities and differences that might come up in your interactions is incredibly powerful. It gives you that pause button, as I describe it, to really step back and to reassess what is driving the behaviors, what's motivating people to interact and react to us in the way that they are. And we might sort of say, well, that might be coming from a very different place from what we're assuming. It's trying to take away the judgments, the assumptions that we have made. So that is part two, really understanding others. But then, part three is taking it further. It's about going deeper. Of course, the curiosity and the awareness is important, but I want you to take action as well. And I think it has to go deeper than just something you could read in a book or something you could watch a video on. You have to ask yourself, what are you going to do differently as a result of this? Now, that takes your CQ strategy. Your CQ strategy is basically making a plan. What are you going to do differently in that next meeting? The next time you have a call with them, what is it that you're going to approach in a slightly different way to get a different result? What have you learned that you want to understand and adapt in the way that you communicate? This is your CQ strategy. It includes other parts as well, including reflections, but it starts with the planning piece as well. And then it is CQ action as well. CQ action is really understanding what actions, what activities are you going to do? What is it you are going to change in your verbal communication, in your non-verbal communication, in your tone of voice, in what you say, your messaging, that's really going to connect to the other people. This is what is important. So there we have it. I believe that your question, Lynne, was a fantastic one, and I'm sure it's an important one that others are considering as well. How to be successful? What are the ingredients to make it work when you're working across cultures? For me, it starts with you, it starts with me, understanding yourself and really understanding what your behavioral preferences are. It then goes into understanding others, getting curious, putting on the pause button to your reactions, and understanding what could come up. Where do you see those similarities and differences? And recognizing they are just differences. There is no judgment, good or bad, in terms of the behaviors that you see. And then three, it's about putting it into action, taking a choiceful or conscious choice, shall we say, to change things, to think about what do you adapt in yourself to get to connect better human to human. And that is ultimately what it's about. It's not about changing who we are, but it is about seeing what is the best way for me to have this connection. Thank you so much, Lynne, for this brilliant question. I hope for everybody listening and watching that you have also found this helpful as an approach. So let's do some reflection questions at the end of this episode. What is it that you recognize about yourself? What are your behavioral preferences in the way that you like to show up, to speak, to interact with others? When have you noticed that others around you, whether they're people you work with, live with, or study with, how are they doing things differently to you? Why do you think they do things in that way? What are the drivers? I'd love to know what your reflections are on this. So, as ever, I like to get your feedback on these episodes. Let me know how you get on with these reflections. You can message me over on LinkedIn. And remember, if you are interested to go deeper on this topic, a really good place to start would be to take your own cultural intelligence assessment and to get your profile. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to me. But as we come to the end of this International Podcast Day episode, I just would like to say again a big thank you for listening for the 100 episodes that we've had together so far. Even if this is your very first episode that you've ever listened to from me, you've got a huge number of episodes to go back and explore. So enjoy that. I'm looking forward to creating many, many more. Final shout outs and reminders for things that are available to you this week. So until Friday, this 4th of October, you can still access the free training, Become a Global Leader, on replay. So if you'd like to get hold of that, just message me over on LinkedIn. And if you are considering going deeper and getting my support in one-to-one in my VIP Global Leader Communication Program, now is definitely the time with my amazing extras that I'm offering this week, which are worth £2,000. So do make sure that you again message me over on LinkedIn by this Friday, the 4th of October, if you want to learn more and get in your discovery call. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It has been great fun to do something a bit different and hear from you, have your questions come in and me answer them. And I very much look forward to seeing you soon, hearing from you soon on Cultural Communication Confidence.